And just like that, my weekend, my very busy weekend of covering wrestling is now completed because Evolution is now in the rear view mirror. So let's talk about it, shall we? My name is Daniel Strunk. Welcome back to QuickTime Reactions. And this is my review of Evolution. Despite how, I would say piss poor the build-up was for this show, I have to say that it was a pretty solid show overall. A lot of interesting things happened on the show, one of which happening in the main event, so we're going to talk all about that. But let us kick things off with the women's Intercontinental title match. Becky Lynch, Bayley, and Lyra Valkyria. This crowd in Atlanta, Georgia was hot all night long. They were basically, cheering everybody and booing everybody, all night long throughout the whole night, which was awesome to see. All three of these ladies put on a really, really good match. A lot of good back and forth with all the unique combinations in that triple threat match. At one point, Lyra actually hit Nightwing on, I think it was Bayley, but Becky broke it up. And just more, Cole pointed it out on commentary. It's like more people getting into the announce table at the on the show, because that happened a lot on Saturday night's main event, and it continued to happen tonight at Evolution. But in the end, though, Becky was able to retain her IC title after, what was it? I think Bayley hit the rose plant on Lyra, and she was going for a pin, but Becky swooped in and went like perfectly into a backslide pin and was able to pin Bayley to get the win and retain her IC title. And 1-0 on my predictions. Actually, I think that would be the other way around. 1-0 in my predictions. Moving on now to the NXT Women's Title match, Jacy Jayne versus Jordynnegrace. Jordynnegrace coming out with Blake Monroe, and Jacy Jayne coming out with the rest of Fatal Influence. Fallon Henley and is it Jackson Nix? Oh gosh. Say I don't want to look it up because there are some key bindings on my recording that will change the setting. But I think it was Jackson Nix, maybe that was her name. I don't watch a lot of NXT, but this was a really good back and forth matchup. Just as a FYI, the winner of this match was going to go on to face Masha Slamovich, title for title at TNA Slammiversary, which is one of the reasons why I thought Jordynnegrace was going to win this matchup. But that does not happen. Towards the tail end of the match, the rest of I think it was, I might have said Fatal Influence. It might be Fatal Attraction. That may ring a bell in my head. Yeah, I think it is Fatal Attraction. Rest of Fatal Attraction try to interfere, but Blake Monroe takes them out, and as soon as she held up that title, I was like, I have a feeling where this is going. Jacy Jayne reverses a whip while the ref is distracted, sends Jordynnegrace into the ropes, and Blake immediately clocks her with the title to the back. Jacy Jayne hits that rolling forearm and gets the pin on Jordan. She retains the NXT Women's title, and Blake hands her her championship and heads out. I would have, because in my head it's like, okay, Jordynnegrace versus Masha Slamovich. That would be an interesting match. Not to take anything away from like Jacy Jayne and Masha Slamovich, but I sincerely think that, Grace and Slamovich would be a big match for Slammiversary. But it also, now having it be Jane Slamovich, it makes it very interesting because who do you put both titles onto? Do you put them on JC Jane, or do you take that risk and you put both belts on Masha Slamovich? I mean, we're gonna have to wait and see once Slammiversary comes to an end. But yeah, definitely a big shock. Although it became less of a shock when I saw Blake Monroe pick up the championship, and that puts me 1-1 in my predictions. Moving on to I'm trying to remember what the next match on the card was. Believe it was the No Holds Barred match between Jade Cargill and Naomi, with Bianca Belair as the special guest referee. That was set up on Saturday night's main event. A really good physical match between the two of them. At one point of the match, they pull out a toolbox from underneath the ring, and inside that toolbox had a little, a little tiny chain in it. And I just had this thought in my head, and I told this to my family when I was watching. I'm like, I just saw, yesterday a man get hanged with a much bigger chain. And so when, Naomi was like sticking the chain in Jade's mouth, I'm like, this is tame by comparison. But it's still like a really good physical matchup between the two of them. Naomi clocks Jade, and she falls backwards into a table that was set up on the outside. That table, sponsored by Slim Jims, by the way. They have another table set up in the middle of the ring. Like, Naomi had a pretty firm control for, I think, the majority of the match. Like, Jade had a flurry of offense at the start, but then Naomi had more of the advantage. And in fact, speaking of that announce table, in the middle portion of the match, Naomi hits a drop kick on Jade that's sends her into the little TV that's underneath the announce table, and the TV exploded, and I was like, wow, you don't see that every day, so I thought that was pretty interesting. But in the end, though, Jade Cargill was able to pick up the win by hitting a second rope Jaded through that table, sponsored by Slim Jims, with Bianca being able to count the pin. And that puts me 2-1 in my predictions. Moving on to the women's tag titles, Judgment Day, Roxanne Perez and Raquel versus Raw's Kabuki Warriors, Asuka Kairi Sane, versus SmackDown's Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss, versus NXT's Zarya and NXT Women's North American Champion Sol Ruca. Again, really solid match between all four of them. I think my favorite team out of the bunch was Zarya and Sol, because I really like the dynamic between the two of them. You have the powerhouse and the high flyer, and my God, Sol is so athletic and so innovative. It's absolutely insane. I know she didn't get to do a lot, but what she was able to do was really, really good. And I mean, who does not love the Soul Snatcher? That finishing move just is so awesome. Every time you see it, you literally just go, oh my God. But the team that I think was the most over with the crowd was definitely Alexa and Charlotte. Even one point there was a "We Want Charlotte" chant. How many times have you heard that in your lifetime? Never. That's the answer. But yeah, really good matchup between all four of these teams. Towards the tail end of the match, Zarya and Sol were hitting I think maybe their double team finish, where Soul has the arms pulled back. She hits like a modified backstabber with her feet, and Zarya then goes in for a spear. But when she goes in for that spear, Charlotte pulls Alexa out of the way, and so Zarya spears Sol Ruka, and a nice tender moment between Charlotte and Alexa. But then, of course, Raquelrodriguez comes in, clears house, hits the Tejana bomb on Sol Ruka, and she gets pinned, and Judgment Day still walk out with the women's tag team titles 3-1 in my predictions. Moving on to the women's championship match between Tiffany Stratton and Trishstratus. I feel like every single time I watch a Trishstratus match, especially like, with her sporadic returns that she has had, like her SummerSlam 2019 match with Charlotte, her little run with Becky in, what was it, 2022, 2023, somewhere around there, and then her coming back here with like her appearance at the Rumble, her appearance at Elimination Chamber, and now here it's like I'm always surprised at how like ring rust is like not a thing for her. Like she was still like pretty like competent in the ring. Like she hit a big Hurricane Rana off of the apron, did her handstand Hurricane Rana in the ring, was able to like do all of her stuff in the ring. I was really, really impressed, and these two had a really, really good matchup. Lots of good back and forth. Each of them pulling out, moves out of each other's playbook. Like I think Tiffany hit a chick kick, and towards the tail end of the match, Tiffany was actually going to go for Trish was going to go for a moonsault, but Tiffany got the knees up and hits her Alabama Slam into the prettiest moonsault ever to retain her title, and that puts me 4-1 in my predictions. Moving on to the Battle Royal, the winner, I should say, gets a title shot at Clash in Paris at the end of August. A lot of interesting names that lasted a lot longer than I was expecting to. Like, for instance, B-Fab. I know she didn't go all the way to the end, but she lasted until the middle portion of the Battle Royal, and I was like, she lasted a hell of a lot longer than I would have thought. One of the standout moments in the Battle Royal was Kalani Jordan avoiding elimination. She got caught by, who was it? I think it was Tatum Paxley and Izzy Dane. She gets caught by them, put onto the announce table, and basically does the Kofi Kingston Royal Rumble 2012 spot where she pulls off a handstand and is able to get to the ropes, and with amazing core strength is able to pull herself up and back into the ring, and she saved herself from elimination. Lots of really cool moments. Like the Secret Harvest gets eliminated slowly but surely, one by one, and then of course Chelsea gets tossed out. The final four of the matchup were, let's see if I can remember. Yeah, okay, I wanted to make sure I was right on this. Nikkibella, stephanievaquer, Nia Jax, and Lash Legend. I did not expect her to make it to the Final Four, and soon after it becomes the Final Four, I believe Nia eliminates Nikki, and it becomes Final Three. Lash and Vaquer both eliminate Jax, and it becomes Final Two. I was, again, not expecting Lash to make it to the Final Two, but Lash gets Vaquer up into a powerbomb position. Both go over the top rope, but Stephanie is able to transition into performing her devil's kiss on the apron, which allows Lash to fall off that apron, and so Stephanie Vaquer wins the battle royal, and so she will be challenging for a women's title at Clash in Paris, probably most likely the Women's World Championship. Which brings us to our main event for the Women's World Championship. Iyosky defending against Rhea Ripley. And not only was this match really good inside of the ring, it's my pick for the match of the night, but the crowd for this match was really, really, really hot for this. Just lots of good back and forth action between the two of them. At one point, Io goes for the 619, but traps Rhea's head like it's a head scissors and drives her head into the apron, which was crazy. Both of them just giving each other their best shots. When one point, ref Jessica Carr takes a springboard dropkick from Io Sky, and so she's out of commission for the while. Rhea hits a riptide, but of course there's no ref. And so they brawl for a little bit. They work their way over to a spot where my dad points out where there is some clear padding, and they Rhea looks like she's going to hit like maybe a riptide off of some cases into a table that's also nearby, but no, Io is able to basically shove her off the crates, and she goes up and hits a massive crossbody off those crates to Rhea, who's on the floor. They eventually make their way back to the ring, and Io hits her over the moonsault. Jessica Carr is back in commission, but it is a 2 count. Io goes up top one more time to hit the moonsault, but Rhea meets her there. Looks like that Rhea might go for a massive riptide off the top, but no. Io is able to counter, and she hits a big Spanish fly onto Rhea inside the ring, and now both women are down. And that's when Naomi's music hits. And she rushes out, ref in tow, even though that she didn't need to bring a ref. There was already a ref in the ring. And she's cashing in her women's Money in the Bank briefcase. She clocks Io with the briefcase, gets in the ring, throws Rhea into the post, shoulder first, hits her split-legged moonsault. 1, 2, 3. Naomi is the new World Heavyweight Champion, the new Women's World Heavyweight Champion. And this threw me for a complete loop, because I would have thought that the way that she was going to get revenge on Jade for, beating her at Mania and also beating her tonight was, after she presumably beats Tiffany at SummerSlam for her championship, she would cash in on Jade and she would win the championship. Revenge completed. But no, she goes out and she wins this championship, which, I'm not gonna say that's a bad decision, because I think, with the new gimmick that Naomi has, and that, she's crazy and stuff like that, it's like, it fits the character, but at the same time, I'm like, but you had a better option. Probably a more predictable option. Well, I'll just say that off the top right off the bat. But it's like, you had that other option that I think would have been just little bit like narratively more there, but at the same time, it's like I really don't care. And plus, it's also a really good moment as well. But yeah, was not expecting that. And plus, I think if she makes it past SummerSlam with that championship, she'll probably most likely lose it to Vaquer at Clash in Paris, most likely. So yeah, I mean technically now it's 5-2 for my predictions, but yeah, that's how the show ended, was with Naomi celebrating and with Io and Ripley in the ring, just like what on earth happened. And so yeah, that is pretty much everything that happened on Evolution. Again, a really good show overall. I think they really went above and beyond, despite WWE not doing the best job at marketing this. I think they did a really good job, and I get a few weeks of a respite before SummerSlam comes around in just a couple weeks. The first ever two-night SummerSlam to kick off August. But until then, guys, be safe out there, and I will catch you guys next time.